Welcome to spring and the April edition of the Toolbox DIY Home Maintenance series. With spring comes a long list of things to do, so let's jump right in. If you've been following the series, you know that we start every month doing 5 routine items. 1, we test our GFCI outlets. 2, we test our smoke detectors and our CO2 detectors. 3, if we have an alarm system, we test that. 4, we replace our HVAC filter if it's older than 3 months. And then lastly, we check and replace any water filters. Or if you have a water softener, we check the salt levels on that. Now, with all the routine items out of the way, it's time for de-winterization. We're going to start by calling our HVAC tech to get the ball rolling on an AC tune-up. Next, it's time to turn back on the water outside to our hose bibs or spigots. Now, if you placed any winter covers over those spigots, now's the time to remove those. And also, if you open the valve and then shut off the water supply, don't forget to shut the valve before you turn on the water supply. Now is also a good time to connect any hoses that we want connected throughout the entire season. Before you do that, you'll want to check the hose washer or gasket. These things should be replaced every year. They may not need it, but it's just not worth the hassle of having a leak happen at just the absolute wrong time. These things cost pennies, so it just makes sense to replace them every year. With our hose connected, we can now clean our AC condenser if it's needed. If you see debris between the fins, run a hose through it. You can use a nozzle to increase the pressure, but please do not use a pressure washer on these things. If you find any bent fins, use a fin comb to straighten these out. It's quite simple. Before I forget, April starts a new quarter, and that means it's time for quarterly pest control. If you hire a company for that, I'm sure they've already reached out to you. If you do it on your own, now's the time to execute your pest control regimen. All right, next up this month is all of our exterior cleaning. Let's start with the easy stuff. We want to clean and inspect any waterways. This includes sump pump wells, landscape drains, channel drains, gutters, downspouts, anywhere where water is meant to go. We want to make sure that these are free and clear of any obstructions. Next up, we want to clean the exterior of our home. And I mean everything, from decks to siding to stucco, tile. If it gets dirty, we want to clean it. Now, the obvious choice here is to bust out the pressure washer for that job, but I want to give you a word of caution. I see far too many homeowners using high-powered pressure washers, 3,000 psi or greater, to clean their homes. This is way overkill in my opinion. Number 1, there's potential for damage if you get too close. And number 2, you may prematurely age the materials that you're washing. I just don't think it's worth it. Therefore, I recommend something like a 1900 psi pressure washer. I've been able to do just about every job with this, and it's very easy to maintain. Another word of caution about using a pressure washer: when you're using it in areas where 2 materials meet, there may be a sealant. This is really not designed to handle that pressure, so I would not use the pressure washer there. I would recommend washing that by hand, or perhaps just using the garden hose and a nozzle. All right, let's get cleaning. Now, after I give this concrete a good cleaning, that's a time to consider sealing the concrete. If you're interested in sealing your concrete, I have a whole video series that I'll link to up here, so you can check that out if you're interested. This is also a good time to remove any window screens and clean those. A spray cleaner followed by a hose is usually enough, but you may have some screens with a lot of dirt buildup. If that's the case, just take a soft brush to those. All right, next we want to go around, inspect, lubricate, and repair any exterior hardware. If it moves or if it's metal hardware, we want to inspect it. We want to make sure it's up to snuff. So this could include your fence gates, retractable awnings, stair hardware, railing, anything like that. In my case, I have this cable railing, and upon inspection, I noticed that a couple of wires are a little looser than they're supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and inspect all of the cables and get those tightened up so they're up to snuff. All right, we're just about done with this month. Next up, for my friends up north or in places where you get a lot of snow, now's the time to summarize your snow blower. So you're going to want to drain the fuel, wipe the machine down, spray any exposed metal parts with a rust inhibitor, cover it, and store it in the driest place that you can possibly find. All right, lastly this month, we're going to get out the grill, the smoker, the egg, whatever your barbecue device of choice is, and we're going to give it a good cleaning. Now, I learned the hard way that you need to do this last. Because if you do it first in the month of April, you'll blow off all of your chores, you'll eat too much barbecue, May will have a long to-do list, and you're going to have to end up exercising because you'll have gained 5 pounds before you even get to summer. All right, folks, that'll do it for this month. As you can see, I've got some ribs and a bird to smoke. I earned this, so will you. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, leave comments or questions if you have them. I'm Chris with Toolbox DIY. I look forward to seeing you next month.